Hey listeners, did you know that Yogi Triathlete offers endurance coaching for body and mind? We offer personalized training plans for endurance sports, wellness and mindset, nutrition and recovery guidance, and race preparation and strategy, all within the supportive community of Team Yogi Triathlete. So if you're ready to conquer your fitness goals and push your limits, our endurance coaches are ready to guide you on the journey to peak performance. Go to yogitriathlete.com today to set up your free 30-minute discovery call and embrace a future of strength, stamina, and achievement. Your goals, our experience, the perfect match for unstoppable success.
After I went through selling the business and experiencing the death of my father, then the death of my sister, and I'm like, all right, life is short. What are we doing? Then I sold the business. I kind of had a little identity crisis. And then talking with Carla, she knows this about me. So I went and took an acting class with the local theater company. And I friggin' loved it. And I was like, man, what would my life have been like if I would have done that? I know you can't go back. And I have so many positives that came out of that whole experience that can't say I regret it, but maybe I would have done things a little bit different if I had the confidence back there to do what I wanted versus what I should have done.
Welcome to the Yogi Triathlete Podcast. I am your host, solo today, BJ, and I have with me a very, 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 very special guest, one who has been on the podcast once before, episode 176, back in 2019. I have known this guy for, I think, 40 years, somewhere around there, somewhere around elementary school, I would say. And wanted to check in, see what's happened in the past 5 years with him, although we have kept in contact offline, not on podcast-worthy conversations. Welcome to the show, Michael Silva.
Hello, BJ Gumkowski. How are you?
I'm really well. I've been excited to get...
I have a really important question. How come every time we greet each other, we just laugh? What is that? That's good stuff.
I don't know. Maybe that's why we've stayed in contact for so long, because we know we can always, we know too much about each other.
But it's also good to have a good belly laugh. And
oh man,
think of how many times we've laughed in our... Yeah.
I was thinking about patio Olympics not too long ago. When we were at your house, we were studying, was that high school? Probably high school. Probably high school.
I don't think we studied together much in college.
That's true. That's true. Good point. Yeah. High school. But we've had so many, I think we've had so many laughs. I mean, just 2 weeks ago when I was in Massachusetts for the race, and we met up at where did we meet?
We met up at Plant City in Providence.
Plant City, that's right. Man, I was laughing so hard. I forgot what we were laughing at, but man, I haven't had a good laugh like that in a long time.
I don't know, I just thought it was hilarious because we're both sitting there doing our perspective things, and you're talking to your clients and I'm emailing my clients, and we'll just look at each other and say something stupid, have a good laugh, get back to work, eat some good food. It was a good few hours we spent together, man.
It was. It's good that we can just catch up. And I think that's, I have a very select few, if you might be the only one that I've kept in contact with and can kind of pick up right off where we left, our conversations. And I love that we both had independent struggles and successes in our lives over the past 40 years, some amazing things, even, to this point, like your son, Jack, pursuing an amazing career. I told my dad about that and he was just floored. So there's so many wonderful things to share in your life. So where should we dive in? Let's talk about, actually you're preparing right now for something pretty big. You're off on a trip tomorrow. Where are you headed?
Yeah, we are headed to Portugal, to the Azores Islands, the island of San Miguel, where it all started for Harry.
Have you ever been back there?
Yeah, so this is my second time back to San Miguel. First time we went, just the four of us, my immediate family. We had a blast, explored the whole island. It's beautiful. I mean, you would love it there. The hiking, the running, the biking, the food, the people. It's just awesome. And now we're going, my mother is gifting this trip to all of us. So it'll be 13 of us total, which is exciting. Yeah. And, you know, as you know, because we've known each other, it's going to be an emotionally a little difficult trip because we started planning for this when my sister was alive. And unfortunately, she tragically passed about a year and a half ago. So we're excited to do this. We're going to miss her, but it's going to be good family time. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys continued on to pursue this. It's important to let your yes be yes, and that it's going to be cathartic. It'll be good to be there, be with family, be in community, and be in this amazing place. Like I think you're right. I think I would love it. I've never been over that way.
Have you been to the mainland? I know Jess has. Oh, well, when my place is ready, because I have a place in the south of Portugal.
All right.
You guys are coming. We're going to do podcast, retreat, whatever. We're going to do it. We're going to bring the west port to Portugal. And no, I think it'll be fun. I think that'll be a great trip.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. It'd be so cool. Is there cycling? I'm sure there's cycling down there. You're in the south of Portugal? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the area called the Algarve. The town we're in is Lagos. It's very, the part of it is very touristy, but there's lots of cafes, restaurants, shopping. It's really nice. But then there's hiking trails and biking and golf and beaches and cliff walks and all sorts of stuff. It's very all-encompassing for activity and entertainment. There's festivals that happen. There's outdoor concerts. And where we are, we can get away from all the... It's like being in downtown Newport. Remember back in the day? But then you could walk over up to Chris's house and be in the silence of Greeno Place up there. So it's kind of like that, where we can go... Like, our place is nice and quiet, but we can go down and enjoy some liveliness. And they have bike tours that go from that part of Portugal into Spain and tour that whole part of southern Portugal and southern Spain. So there's lots of good biking up and down Portugal. It's great.
Yeah, well, we've got to get over there for sure. Actually, I think the Tour de France, as we're recording this, I think the Tour de France is starting Saturday. Sometimes it goes into Spain, I think. I don't think it goes into Portugal. No. But it'll be 3 weeks of craziness. I don't think you'll be anywhere near that. But yeah, that's cool. Jess and I, right now, literally, she's in the Galapagos Islands in Ecuador and has been for like 8 days.
Should do it a retreat?
Yeah, yoga retreat. Yeah, yoga adventure.
Nice.
Yoga adventure. And actually, guys, because you've been listening, Jess and I are going to lead our first retreat together in the Galapagos next April 2025. Woo-hoo. So if you're interested in going to go see some turtles, some swimming lizards, iguanas, some wild horses, come over and we can work that out. And
then we'll see some downward dogging Gomkowskis. It'd be great.
Yes. Well, let's talk about that. Like, do you? I've always wanted to know. Like, do you do yoga? Do you and Carla do yoga, or what is yoga like in your life?
So, yoga in my life is similar to my meditation practice, which is not as consistent as I want it to be, but still a pretty big part of my life. And I need to get out of my own way and make it a little more consistent. I've loved when I'm consistent with my yoga. My body feels better than it ever has. When I can't get to yoga classes, I do it at home, but I love the environment. I love heated yoga. I love the instructors in the place we go to here. So yes, I love it. I'm going to be doing more of it. And every time I talk to you and or someone that does it, it reignites how fast I need to get back there.
Yeah, I know. We always have reminders, right? They're always like in our face. We're always served up exactly what we need to learn. With your background as, working with runners and rehabbing runners and strengthening them, this is something I firmly believe in, but I'd love to get your perspective on it. I don't necessarily do a lot of weight training, and I've got the quotes up. Like, I don't go to the gym and do like squats and lunges. Sometimes I do, but it's not in any nearly consistent pattern as I do yoga. And I probably do yoga almost every day, if not 3 to 4 times a week, at least an hour flow of a power yoga flow, vinyasa flow, breath and crescent lunges and half moons and all this strength. I personally believe it's very it's the strength to work in that type of yoga is very beneficial. And this could just be one person's perspective, but you being on the other side of it, actually working with runners and their bodies and rehabbing them. What is your opinion of strength training using yoga? And is that a complement, or can it totally replace what you would do in a gym for a runner?
I don't think it could totally replace, but depending on the athlete, the stability and control and strength you get out of a vinyasa flow could be adequate enough. So how can I explain this? Trying to make it not so thinky and wordy. So let's just say you and I are totally different structures, right? You have,
we are,
and we are, but I'm going to paint it with a different stroke just to make the point here, right? So let's say you've been a lifelong yogi. You're extremely flexible. You have great soft tissue quality. You have great range of motion, but you're not too strong. I am a stiff, grape ape type of, testosterone-filled, muscular, gym meathead type of guy that's been spending lots of time in the gym. So if we got into triathlons or running at the same time, we're coming from two different places. So for me, if I'm giving myself my own advice, what's my lowest hanging fruit? So going through proper assessments, for me, it would be like, okay, you don't have enough ankle dorsiflexion. You definitely don't have enough hamstring length. You definitely don't have enough hip flexor length. You definitely don't have enough hip rotation. So you need to get your ass in yoga and you need to get more flexible. You have a good strength base. You have good muscle mass. So you need to focus on that. Now, if I'm talking to you who's been doing yoga your whole life, and you don't have the strength might be your lowest hanging fruit, then I'm going to have the conversation with you about doing some strengthening. It doesn't have to be in a gym. Back in the day, I used to think everyone needed to get under heavy weights, and there are some athletes that still need to do that to get to a certain level. But for most of us mere mortals that are doing this for the love of running or for the love of triathlon or for just the love of being healthy, there's a lot of great ways you can build strength through body weight and things that you have around the house. I literally had this conversation with a friend of mine this morning. She is the person I'm telling you about, extremely flexible. She always gravitates towards yoga because she's good at it. I mean, she's literally like, you could use her as the picture for all these stock photos for yoga woman. Like, she's lean, thin, and she can, wrap her ankles around her head. But she's so weak, and I've been telling her for 15 years, you need to get stronger, you need to get stronger, you need to get stronger. But she just keeps gravitating towards what she does best. And because she feels good when she's successful at doing a yoga class, and she's the best looking one in her postures, right? When she goes to the gym, she don't feel so good because she's lifting 5-pound dumbbells. So for her ego, it's hard for her to wrap her head around that. Yeah, so there's a bunch of different things we can unpack there, but the long answer to your short question is it all depends on you and your physical history and what you've been doing your whole life.
Yeah, well, that goes into we are what we repeatedly do, and we're going to be comfortable in the things that we are comfortable doing. And why are we comfortable doing the things we're doing? Because we do them a lot. So, and it's a great place to question, like if you're constantly bumping up against the same result over and over and over again, well, what's the pattern? Well, you keep doing the same thing. I mean, you got to zoom out, and this is why it's good to have a coach or a guide or a consultant, somebody outside with that perspective that says, wait a minute, I see you doing the same things over and over again. You probably don't see it as clearly as I do, but you're getting the same result. And if you want a different result, we gotta mix this up. We gotta spin it a different way.
Right. And even though I tend to be that person for a lot of my clients over the years, I need that person, and I just happen to be blessed with the fact that I'm married to a woman who can see me, and because I go like every morning, like I get into my gym, whether it's going to be some sort of flexibility, mobility, strength, stability, I'm doing something for 60 to 90 minutes every single morning before anyone in my house wakes up. We have a detached gym. I walk back there, I get my double espresso, head out there. Usually I just stare at the sun. Well, not to go blind, but just get some sunlight in my eyes, take a few breaths, watch the bunnies eat my plants that I just spent hundreds of dollars on, listen to the birds chirp. Yeah, just, and just like, all right, let's do this. And then I get in. And some days I feel really good in there. Some days I feel really bad. That's how I just get in there and start my day. And if I'm having, as you and I have talked about, like I've got chronic issues I've been dealing with. One that most of them started way back in our high school sports days with, sprained ankles. I know you had surgery. I had surgery. You had knee surgery. I had shoulder surgery. Like we have all these things. And depending on the day, my workout will look drastically different. But there was a while where I was doing the same thing. And I'm like, I'm feeling pretty good, but I'm not feeling great. And Carlo would come in and watch me work out and to be like, the hell are you doing? What's wrong with what I'm doing? But having that perspective, even for someone like me who my quote fingers are up, who knows what they're doing, I don't know. I can't see myself, and I can't use the same mind that creates some of my problems to fix my problems. I need another mind to look at it. So again, I'm fortunate to have Carla here. But if I didn't have her, I know enough that I would need to seek help from someone, because you can't do it all on your own. I'm a true believer that it takes a team of people to keep you thriving optimally, physically, mentally, emotionally. So I would seek out help if I didn't have it inherently built into my network.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I have the same thing. Our lives are very parallel. Like I have the same thing here. I have such a amazing, not right at this moment, obviously she's not physically here, but Jess is that guy, that coach. She has been my coach, basically, like guiding me and pointing me in the direction. And what's so magnificent about it is like I still bump up against old patterns of resistance, coming from that. Like I know what I need to do, and really I don't. To your point, and not wanting to hear the things that we need to do, and that's another thing. Like really being brutally honest, like so honest that you kind of like swallow and you're like, oh man, that feels terrible. But then you get like beyond that feeling and you're like, oh man, okay, now I get it. Like this is the path through. Like this is the way through. I'm being gifted the evidence and guidance to get myself to the other side of this. If I just get out of myself or get out of my ego, wanting it to be me to be right.
Right. That's super hard to do. And I'm going to be a little bit of a stereotyping type of a statement right now, but it's hard to do. And I think guys tend to be a little more thick-headed and a little more egocentric. And I can say that because whenever I've done group classes or educational things or any of the offerings I've had, whether it's through physical therapy, through RUNstrong, even through some of the coaching and consulting I'm doing now in more of the business space, who do you think are more open-minded to getting the help? Again, I'm being really a generalist with no one hit me up and start bashing me by email or on the comments here. But in general, and I was the thick-headed, meat-headed kind of, I know what I'm doing. I know everything. But yeah, and what you're saying, it's hard. Like you got to swallow your pride. You got to like, pardon my French, but you got to see the shit, smell it, and then be like, oh yeah, I need to do something about that. And that's that's a turning point for a lot of people. I mean, even it might be just this minor little paradigm shift in how they're doing things or how they're thinking of themselves or their life, their relationship, their workouts. But everyone needs that. So it's important. It's important to have that swallow and just realize that you're not perfect, dude.
No, there's no perfection. But I think when we're younger, and I mean, here's a great perspective I don't have. Like you have kids. Like when they were younger, did you see things that you experienced yourself where you would be like, nope, I'm not listening. Like that's not the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it my way. And you're just like, oh my God, I see this movie playing out in front of me and I just know it's going to be terrible, but they have to have their own experience. I can't force my agenda on them. Did you see that with?
Oh yeah. And I think back, I truly think a high percentage of parents out there are doing the best they can with the tools they have. Right. Some of us parents don't have a lot of tools in our toolbox or refuse to buy new tools. Right. I'm fortunate in Carla because she's very open-minded. She's never done anything because she's supposed to or she should, right? I mean, she's an amazing person, does amazing thing for a lot of people, but if something doesn't feel right for her and her family, she stands up for that. But even coming to like religion, like you and I grew up we went to a Catholic high school. I grew up strict Portuguese Catholic, and we decided, we got our kids through all the sacraments up to confirmation for our kids, and we decided we wanted to do that, but we never really forced the religion, never really shoved it down their throat. And through that time, we kind of had mixed feelings about our religion. We ended up doing a lot of studying in the local Buddhist meditation center. Carla went to Nepal for an 18-day pilgrimage, and that changed her life. So we introduced Buddhism to our kids as well. And we told them, and when they started getting old enough, let's get you through this. Because your grandmother will really like the fact that you've been confirmed, right? But your religion should be, or your spirituality is your thing. We're here, this is what we're doing. They've seen us kind of switch our thoughts and beliefs, but we never forced that on them. And we also allowed our kids to make mistakes. We didn't want to overparent or be a helicopter parent and protect them so much that they're fragile, right? But there's so many times, like you're saying, they're saying something, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, you're so stupid. You're 14 years old. And when I was 14, I thought I knew everything too. And you're saying stuff that I said to my parents, and I didn't listen to them. And now I wish I had, because they're always right. But I think I answered the question in there somewhere. But yeah, parenting is difficult. I can only imagine people that do it, like I said, that don't have a partner there with them doing it. I mean, it's hard enough with two partners on the same page. And you've met my kids, and I'm going to brag about them. They're amazing human beings. They've made it kind of easy to be a parent. I am lucky, fortunate, and blessed for the family that I have. I'd like to think I have some part in it, but I cannot. There's just some good DNA in my kids that get passed down from generations of good people in my family and Carla's family, because I couldn't, probably one of the proudest things I've ever done in my life is raising these two kids.
Wow, it's a pretty big statement.
It is.
You've done a lot of amazing things in your life, and I've met your kids younger. I don't think I've met them in most recent years, but younger, and I was always impressed at their demeanor and how they held themselves in conversation and engagement. Because I would also see the contrast. I would also see kids that weren't engaging. So I had a reference point of where do Mike's kids lie on the scale here? And so, they're definitely amazing kids. And I think they are a reflection of you and Carla, because you guys committed to yourselves and that's one of the other questions I had is, and we'll get to it in a second, but you guys stayed committed to yourselves, did your own work, stayed open-minded, didn't force an agenda. And then that just trickles down. Everything trickles down from the top. So then your kids are now doing things. I mean, Jack's doing something I never even knew existed, to be honest. And where that's going to take him, who knows, right?
Right. And, and that was a big move on his part. He was pretty brave to make a decision 3/4 of the way through his first year in college and come to us and say, I think I'm wasting a lot of money, right? I don't think I'm doing anyone any good by being here. We need to talk. And he was so scared to come to us. And I know some parents would have been like, what do you mean you don't want to go back to school? You need to get your degree. What are people going to say? Blah, 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 blah. So when he came to us, we literally gave him a hug and we're like, congratulations, Jack. He's like, congratulations. I'm like, you figured out 8 months into your college career that this is not for you. Some people graduate from a 4-year college, go on to get an advanced degree, and then get into a job, and then they figure out at 55 or 60 that they made the wrong choice. I'm like, we'll figure this out, man. Let's just go on in. And in a town like ours, it's a very affluent town. Everyone's going to one Ivy League school or one big college name. So for him to say, and he was never once embarrassed about it, it's like, yeah, no, taking a year off, I got to find myself and figure out what I'm doing. And then he found this commercial diving school in Seattle, Washington, and now he's living in Virginia, and he's an internationally certified deep sea diver doing crazy stuff under the water that I would never do because I'm claustrophobic and I don't like swimming 60 feet under the water. And I've never seen him happier. Literally, I've never seen my son happier, and he's loving it. So I'm proud of him for making the hard decision. And I'm proud of us as parents for giving him the space to do it, because when he first came to me, if it wasn't for a little private coaching from Carla, I could have been the typical, I was just making fun of, what are you talking about? You can't do that. What are you thinking? But that's when Carla comes in and saves me again, and let's have a talk about this.
That's the balance. Like you need that, you need the fire and you need the calm, and they need to be in someone. You can't be both fire and you can't be both calm, because everything will be like over the top or nothing will ever get done. So you need both.
Right.
You need both, but you also need both to kind of temper each other. Like, so Jess and I, like I'm totally calm. Like that's my steady state. So I need more fire. She's like super fire. She needs to come down a little bit every now and then,
right.
But not to like totally strip us of our identities or our dominant feature. It's just, how can we just simmer it a little or rise it a little bit and feed off of each other to get the best out of each other. I think that's what, at least that's what I feel the relationship is how can we get the best out of each other through being together.
Right. And I think in any sort of relationship, friend, partner, business, like you need to know what the strengths and weaknesses are. You need to be able to ping pong off each other. You need to be able to balance each other out. And I would love to say that Carl and I do that perfectly all the time. Like you said, there's no perfect, but there are times I'm still a thick-headed Portuguese. So there are times where, I don't quite see it as clearly as I should or as soon as I should. And I'm going to throw her under the bus. And there's times she might not see it, but it all gets worked out.
It totally does.
Yeah.
It totally does. And I think Jack's a great example of that, like just letting it go. And I'm thinking in my head back to my grandparents. I feel like as we age, as we bring generation after generation, that sort of stuff is getting less and less, at least in my experience. Like I remember my grandparents were just so like adamant about college, school, get a job,
right?
Yada, 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 get a house, kids, all this stuff.
Right.
But now I feel like it's sort of like kind of shifting a little bit. And I think Jack is one of those guys who's laying the groundwork that it's okay to not know what you want to do in life and need to take time to figure it out. Not the way that we think figuring out is. It's just like, zoning out.
Right.
But literally like stepping away from something to find peace and space to kind of let what you really want to rise up. It's already there inside you. Like, what is it that lights you up? What excites you? And then pursue that relentlessly, giving them that space.
Right. And you mentioned something. It's almost as important to know what you don't want than what you want. Right. And he knew that right
Absolutely.
away. He was a good student in high school, but he wasn't an academic like my daughter. My daughter is a brainiac. They're two totally different people. But he tried it. He got in there. He knew he didn't want that. He didn't know what he wanted, but he knew he didn't want that. I was talking to a kid, an old client of mine, and he's just finished his second year in college, doesn't want to be there, is going through a program just to get him a degree so he can graduate, and then he's going to figure it out. And I know the college he's going to, and I'm like, okay, so that's another $140,000 that you and or your parents or the government, whoever is going to be spending on this. Just because you started, he's like, yeah, I got to finish, right? I started. And I can't parent someone else's kid. So I just listen and nod my head and change the subject, because I would have a different conversation if you were my son. Because I wouldn't want to spend $140,000 more dollars on a half of a college education if he's not loving it. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. And so we've talked a lot and people on the podcast know this, like, let your yes be yes. So there is an element to like, see things through to the end. Like, let your word be your word. But there's also like, well, there's life to live, and we only get one life, and it's short. It really is short. So if you're not enjoying what you're doing, find something you love doing. I posed this question to a group I was presenting at, and I asked, like, what is it that brings you joy? And I don't think anybody raised their hand. Like, they couldn't pinpoint what brings them joy. And so back to your contrast statement, it's great to know what you don't want, because then it's pointing you in like, okay, well, now I don't have to spend time there. I can figure out what I do want.
Right.
Contrast is such a beautiful thing. I didn't want to go to an office and work 9 to 5. And then I didn't want to work for someone. That's what I found out. I didn't want to work for someone else. I just wanted to work for myself. And so all these signs were so beneficial to point me in the right direction. But you can see how you can get caught up in,
right.
Oh man, I just got to stick this through. I've got 3 more years till tenure or whatever. And I can do that.
Can't quit. Can't quit. What would people think?
Of course you can quit.
Exactly.
Of course you can.
So, all right, listen to this, BJ. So when Jack decided to take the year off and come home, I remember talking to one of my neighbors here in town, and I was telling him the story, and this person said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I can see your face. I'm like, what are you sorry about? I'm like, my son, and I had the same conversation. My son just figured out at 8 months into his college career that this wasn't for him. He's giving himself the time to figure it out. He's not wasting my money. You should be congratulating me. Don't say sorry. Like, I got a little bit angry, but that's the mindset of some people. Oh, he's not going to go to finish his 4 years of college. And like, I really want to, if I was the spiteful person, I'd go find this person and say, hey, by the way, my son just turned 21 and he's making 6 figures a year and I don't have any college debt. So congratulate us.
So win all the way around.
Right, like, and I get it. I know
Yeah.
she was trying to be sincere, but it's just underneath that is this like, oh, that's not what you're supposed to do. So something must be wrong, right? I don't know. That's my take on it.
Can you think back? Let's personalize it. Can you think back to you growing up? Anything happened to you? Not maybe to the extent of what Jack experienced, but where you were going along this path and you were like, it could have even been like football or a trajectory, for the golf course job or whatever it was that you were doing. Is there anything that you can pinpoint that maybe was transformational in shaping who you are today?
In a good way or a bad way?
Oh yeah. Well, I guess either. Either.
So I've got mixed feelings about certain things, certain decisions I made or that were made for me when I was younger. So
can you share any of them? Do you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah, I don't mind. I played football and, I loved so many aspects of playing football. One was the teamwork and the camaraderie and the friendships that I made, but also being able to challenge myself physically, get bigger, get stronger, get bigger, faster, stronger. You remember that, right?
I knew you were going to go there. I was going to complete it for you if you didn't say it.
Red room. But so like I loved that physically because I went into high school very, very unconfident. And I know we've shared a lot of stuff. I don't even know how much of this I've shared with you, but I still to this day struggle with confidence. And I went into high school, this skinny, big-nosed, dorky kid from Westport, all of 120 pounds walking onto a football team. And then, I worked hard. I got bigger, faster, and stronger. I was an okay player. I wasn't the star player. I mean, we had some insane athletes in our school, as you know. But I was part of a really good team, and I really liked that. But you know what I would have done if I had the freedom or the confidence to do it? Guess.
Go for it. This is
No,
good. I don't know if I know this.
You don't. What do you think I would have done?
What would you, instead of football?
Instead of like doing the athlete football
band.
Close.
Music, band.
Close. Yeah, and I stopped playing drums. I was playing drums as younger. No, I was in the middle school jazz band, the middle school marching band.
Yes.
And now I'm back playing drums. But yes, I would have stuck with music. I would have done drama club.
Drama.
I don't know if I ever told you this, and I'm saying this on a podcast.
No, I didn't know this.
The billions of people who are going to be listening to this podcast are going to know. So I always wanted to be an actor. Always. But, my brother played football. The high school we went to was a really sport-minded high school. The girls liked the football.
Wasn't your mom's, wasn't he guidance, Jim Lanigan, wasn't he guidance counselor? No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was. Him and my mother shared the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the head football coach is like...
And he knew me when I was in 7th grade, and he was prepping me, hey, baby, we're going to get you playing football.
Yes.
So anyway, like, again, I wasn't great at it. I was good. I excelled physically. I did was, again, a part of a good team. I think I participated, but I probably suffered more injuries and concussions than I needed to at that point in my life. So this all, after I went through selling the business and experiencing the death of my father, then the death of my sister, and I'm like, all right, life is short. What are we doing? Then I sold the business. I kind of had a little identity crisis. And then talking with Carla, like she knows this about me. So I went and took an acting class with a local theater company, and I friggin' loved it. And I was like, man, like, what would my life have been like if I would have done that? I know you can't go back, and I have so many positives that came out of that whole experience that can't say I regret it, but maybe I would have done things a little bit different if I had the confidence back there to do what I wanted versus what what I should have done.
I didn't know that. Super cool. Although we did kind of dip our toes in the modeling arena. Or we thought we could. That's a funny story for another day. But why do you think, because I don't recall myself being a confident child as well. And looking back, we had amazing parents growing up. Like we had beautiful, caring, loving, supportive parents. What do you think? Or maybe that was too much. Maybe they were too supportive. I don't know. But why do you think, have you ever explored that? Like, because I got to tell you, I'm a contrasting person to who I was even in high school. Before my knee surgery and after my knee surgery, I'm a completely different person. Like I'm like 1,000% more confident than I was standing at the free throw line in high school.
So what was the paradigm shift for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. It may even have been my darkest night of the soul moment when I, threw my back, where you actually helped me get out of. Right. And I was attached to who I thought I was, a triathlete. And if I couldn't do that, who was I? And actually I did break down. I just shares this moment. I came upstairs and broke down because I finally realized it was like I was stripped of my ability to play basketball in high school because I had a knee surgery, a knee ACL that took me out for a whole year, and I felt wronged. Right. And so it took 20 years after to really work that up and out. So I think that was a defining moment. But also I think giving myself the chance to be in front like this, like to be on a podcast host, to work in an office where I had to manage people. And actually, to be honest, to not give a fuck, to get to a point where you're just like, I don't care what people think or what they say. Like, I'm going to be myself. I'm just going to be me. And whatever that looks like is what it's going to look like. And since I've stepped into that jumpsuit that I wear now every day, I don't see any other way. Like I'm 99%, because I don't think I'm 100% confident all the time. I just did a workout and I was like, shit, I'm going to be able to get through this workout. Right. So I feel like I'm more confident, but I don't know why when we were growing up, it was something that wasn't in our wheelhouse. Although we were around people, you mentioned some players on the football team, and I know some people on the basketball team and soccer team that were very confident. I just don't think I had that confidence.
Right. And you were arguably one of the top 3 players in our class for basketball. Like, you were phenomenal, right? But it didn't matter because you didn't feel like you were that, right? I don't know why. I mean, I do believe there's some sort of genetic stuff that gets handed down generation to generation, generational trauma or something that happens. I know, my sister and brother probably struggle with it a little bit. I can't. Well, my sister won't be listening to this, but my brother won't be listening to it for sure. But I think there might be part of that. And you're right. We had really supportive parents, and they did the best they could for what the tools they had. Like I said before, the only thing I can think of that comes out is I was protected too much. Right. I think, don't do that. That's dangerous. Well, why don't we do this? Mm-hmm. Even when we got into choosing a career, just get a job, get a 401k, everything will be fine. Right. I remember I interviewed in New York City. I don't know if you remember that. Before I went back to PT school, I had the year off and I was working doing in the fitness world. And I went and applied for this personal training studio in Manhattan, and I got the job. And I took a bus put on a suit for like the first time, took a bus, went to Manhattan, had an interview, ate lunch, took a bus back that same day. And my parents thought I was absolutely crazy that I wanted to move to New York City to work. And they were not in support of it. Oh, it's dangerous. It's like, so they, not knowingly, I think they fed throughout my whole life into the fear. Like, and I think, I don't know how I got at it, but obviously I did, you know. I started a business. It was just on another podcast, like a business podcast, and they were asking about when I started Foundation Performance. And this is a funny story. I turned 30, had Jack, my first child, and totally went on my own in business in the same month, May of 2003. And I remember looking at Carl and go, shit, if I don't fucking grow up now, like, it's just not going to happen. And I didn't just give myself a choice. And then it ended up being the best decision for me professionally. I almost left the profession because I was not happy. And I was inconfident about the decision I made. But then when I was able to do my own thing, so I guess I have to fight through that inconfidence. Even now, I'm starting a career doing something totally different. And it's not always the most rewarding and I'm not seeing what I would think would be the benefits right away, but I'm only 4 or 5 months into starting a consulting business. But I guess I outgrew it, but it wasn't easy. You know, some sessions with a therapist, some coaching from Carla, all that. Right?
Well, nothing is going to be easy, right? Worth pursuing because, and looking back, both you and I are really the only ones in our families that have taken the trajectory, not the normal path. Like, I feel like we've done things a little bit differently.
What do you mean? Everyone in your family didn't sell all their belongings and drive across country?
No, I think they took all the belongings that I was giving away, and they actually like stacked even more up in their place.
Right.
I don't know that for sure. But it takes. So even though as you venture in to be a consultant now, like you're starting to wear the groove in your mind more and more that says, there's no big deal here. Like, I've been here before. I understand that this is a process. I understand I can't cling too tightly. I also have to be able to be flexible and fluid so that I can allow things to work in my favor, not have such a hard line in how actually everything has to go, because we know too much. As we continue to go down this path in life, we're both in our 50s now. Like we've got another 50, maybe 60 years, according to our financial planner. We went to like 110 or something.
Really?
Yeah, 110 years old. So we've got.
I got to start saving more. I was only saving to 95, but I'm gonna get there.
But I feel like we understand a little bit more how the world works, in that we find what brings us joy. We dedicate our lives to doing more of it. Along the way, there's going to be ebbs and flows like the ocean, waves, highs and lows, and we just got to stay the course to the end, and that we can pivot and shift anytime we want, and that we're going to be okay.
We are.
One thing I really pull upon is I firmly believe this. I don't know if this is faith, belief, light, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it. I just know that I'm going to be okay. I just have this feeling. So I don't have. Well, I guess I do have evidence of it because I'm still here.
You're doing okay, Beach. I'll be your evidence.
Doing okay.
I'm letting you know you're doing okay, man.
But I love playing in that realm of like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Somebody just asked me this yesterday, actually. What's the worst that can happen? I was like, I don't know. I'd go back to my job. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't. I'd left my job because I wasn't happy at my job. What would I do? I don't know. Go be a barista, go like serve coffee and maybe work at Whole Foods, like live a super, super simple life. And maybe to live in California, I have to live with 6 other roommates just to make ends meet. I would do that. And so it's a powerful place to be where you don't let things rattle you.
Right.
There's an unshakability about it.
Right.
And I think that's that's the confidence, right? You're much more confident now than you were yesterday, and you're more confident now than you were last year and 10 years ago and 20 years, right?
Right. Amen.
So how is that possible? You're working the mind constantly through little challenges, whatever it is, a trip with your family, getting on the podcast, starting a new business, constantly exercising that mental muscle that you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay, and you're going to figure things out. But there's that little bit of like, stuff to get over at first.
It is. And that stuff, I think, comes from like our inner sabotage, our inner saboteur voice, right? That, no, you can't do that. What are you thinking? And just diving deeper into myself, like we all have some form of self-sabotage, right? Mine is definitely like, you can't do that. Like, what are you thinking? Why would you even think you can do that? Like, that's a chatter in my head. So I've actually used like meditation, even just at a brief level, where just using tactile or doing something just to like stop that thought process, remember who I am, what I'm doing. I'm not like the inconfident 11-year-old boy anymore. Like, just try to reset my brain, my thinking. And dude, it really helps. And I didn't come up with this on my own. I had to go like seek help in professionals on this and learn these techniques, because I never knew the term my inner saboteur and self-sabotage and, reset your thought patterns. And even Carla, like, 'cause she's going through this whole advanced somatic healing type of training. So I learned so much from her. So between her and seeking the help I did, I'm able to catch those patterns, and it's stopping me from not continuing to move forward with the things I want to do, not make an easy decision. Because I could go drive 20 miles away, because I still have a non-compete, but I could drive 20 miles away, 25 miles away, and get a job as a staff PT somewhere. But I would not be happy. Like, I sold my business because I needed to do something different than clinical care. I needed to stop focusing on pain and focus on helping people grow in a different way. But if I just let my inner sabotaging voice just take over, like, I'd be doing something I probably didn't want to do.
Well, we're going to fall back on, again, what's comfortable, what's known, right. even though it's the thing we don't want to do, but it's known. At least it's known. And that's the mind at work. Right. The mind is a tool. Can you share a technique? Like, I always love to have our audience or our listeners, like, what is a technique that you use when you're on that thought train and it's like getting out of control? I'm not good. I'm not going to be able to do this. What is one thing that you've found success in that pulls you out of that cycle?
All right. So I'll take you through like a 2-minute thing that I'll do. So if I find myself with these negative thoughts or like distracting myself with tasks because I know what I need to do is not the most comfortable, with something outside of my comfort zone, and why are you even doing that anyway? And or if I find myself on LinkedIn, maybe I just go find a job and work for someone. Like, if I start doing that, so I literally stop. And you mean from your history of meditation, you'll appreciate this. So then I'll just breathe in and out through my nose. I'll feel how cold the air is coming in. I'll pay attention to how warm the air is going out. And I just literally pay attention to that and breathe. I'll do that for maybe a minute. And then I like you doing tactile. So I'll take my fingers, so like my index finger and thumb together, and I just rub and I try to feel what my thumb is feeling. And then I pay attention to what my index finger is feeling. Right? Or I'll just, like, I'm wearing jeans right now. So I'll rub the jean. I'll just use something, and it takes some time. I got to bring myself back. Like with all meditation, my mind goes. But if I can do that, then I literally come back, and then I talk to myself like, okay, you're not that inconfident 10-year-old boy anymore. You are a 51-year-old successful man who knows a lot and is bringing a lot of value to people. You got this. And just that little break of breathing and tactile and a literally a 10-second pep talk, get that sabotaging voice out of my head. And I'm like energized and ready to tackle whatever I was trying to avoid.
Yeah, people are probably listening, and I am too. It's like, that sounds so simple. It sounds so simple.
Right.
But it's probably taken you a long time to be able to get that to work. Like countless, you mentioned it a little bit. Like,
oh yeah, and it doesn't work all the time.
Mm.
Yeah, and it is, and it's not difficult, but it's not easy. You know what I mean? Like, it's not difficult to pay attention to what your fingers are touching. It's not difficult to breathe and just try to pay attention to the different sensations coming into each nostril. It's just a mindfulness technique, as you know. And sometimes it works really well. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I got to go take a walk or even get a workout and do something. For me, I use like a physical tactile reset. And, depending on the day, depending on my mindset, depending how much sleep I got, like the fact that I'm this eloquent right now, I only had 3.5 hours of sleep last night. I'm pretty impressed with myself.
Yeah.
I haven't stuttered too much, because usually when I'm tired.
Could be the espresso, double espresso,
triple
espresso.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I wanted to ask something else on that because that was so good, Mike. That was so good. Movement. I interrupt the pattern. So movement is so good. I give our athletes a lot of times, like, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. Like, go walk around the block, like get outside, take a walk around the block and come back. You don't need to do anything intense or extreme. You can just literally move the body for 5 or 10 minutes, come back, and it will change your perspective and probably interrupt whatever negative thought pattern you were in. So movement is so good.
Right. But the problem is getting yourself to realize that, because if you have a negative thought pattern, it's most likely depleting your energy. You're in the wah, wah, wah type of mindset, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to and there are times where I'm like, and I'll just close the laptop or whatever. And Carla's like, let's go. We're going for a walk. Like, you need to move. You've been sitting at that computer for 4 hours. You need to move. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I'm like, I'm already worked out today. This isn't a workout. We just need to go get some fresh air. Oh, man. Yeah, thank God she's here, man.
Oh my God. Yeah. We're lucky. We have some amazing, souls by our side.
Right.
So you mentioned consulting. What is this, like, explain to me what this new venture is. What are you bumping up against? That's this new sort of, I don't know if I'm capable of, but I am capable of it, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? What are you doing?
So I started a business consulting or coaching, depending on who you talk to. I don't know the difference between the two words. My mission right now is to help save the physical therapy profession. So I'm not sure how much you know about it, but the physical therapy profession, especially since the pandemic and the rise of the commoditization of our services, like big money's coming in, the buying up practices. I'm part of it. I sold my practice to what eventually became a venture capital owned company. I sold it to another private practice, but as this is happening a lot, there's a lot of burnout. We had a mass exodus of really skilled, caring people in our profession who are going. In our profession is riding on the coattails of these young therapists who are already feeling burnt 1-2 years into their career. So it's a little bit of a, pardon my French, it's a little bit of a clusterfuck depending who you talk to in our profession. But I love our profession. We get to change people's lives. We get to reduce pain, improve function, get people to, return to running, be able to pick up their grandkids, be able to go hiking, go on a family vacation. Like, we're doing amazing things. And we have amazing people in our profession that chose this profession for that reason, but they're leaving because they're burnt out and they're stressed and they don't think there's a better way. So my big tagline is I'm trying to save physical therapy one private practice at a time. And I'm trying to be a resource for physical therapists who are considering starting their own business. Because for me, back, when was it, 2003? Remember I told you I turned 30, had Jack, and had totally decided I was about to leave the profession. I don't know if you remember this. I got a job as a medical device salesman for a company called Medtronic. It's the biggest medical device company in the world. I've heard of them.
I think my dad actually worked for them for a little bit, but yeah.
Really, yeah. So I was going to leave physical therapy 2.5-3 years into my career because I didn't even know what the term burnout was back then. I was just not happy with what I was doing. And then I realized it's not that I was not happy being a therapist. I didn't like who I was doing it with, who I was doing it for, how it was being done, what was being asked of me. And that's when I realized I am not a good employee and I just need to do my own thing. Now, 20 years go by. I had a very successful career. We ran a great business. I provided a pretty good lifestyle for my family. Like, so much positive came out of that. And I almost left it all behind because I didn't think there was another way. But just, again, talking with Carla, talking to a few other people who own businesses, like, I knew that I could do this. And that was one of those things where I was not confident. I literally was like, fuck it, like, ready, fire, then I'll aim. Like, I'm just going to do it and I'll figure it out as I go along. So as I was doing it, I made mistakes. I got help. I used a business consultant early on. When we started getting busy, I remember Carla's like, this is getting out of hand. Like, we don't know what we're doing. I'm like, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. She's like, we need help. We need help. No, we don't. I can do it because I'm egocentric and I don't need anybody. So I ended up hiring a business consultant, spent a shit ton of money back in like 2006, 2007. And it was hands down the best money I've ever spent in my career. So I want to be that person for other people. So I started this a few months ago. Carla's been telling me I need to do this. But in my inconfident mindset, I'm like, why would people want to pay for me? What am I going to teach them, right? And thank God my first paying client that I had, within 3 meetings with me, I'm not saying this to impress anyone, but just to impress upon them and how even an inconfident man like myself can make a difference and bring value. He said, Mike, you are hands down the best money that I have ever spent in my career. He said, your enthusiasm, your motivation, you've saved me so much money and mistakes I was going to make, because he's opening his first private practice. So I'm helping him with everything from, I'm setting him up with like medical record companies, and doing this as long as I have connections all over the country with every aspect of business. So I'm hooking him up with business lawyers, accountants, bookkeepers, EMR companies, equipment companies, medical supply, everything, helping him design, answering questions. I'm basically a sounding board a lot of the time. And then now we're getting to the point where we're now starting to build his systems, his employee handbooks, and things like that. And then through many great conversations with him and his feedback, he's like, when our 3 months is up, like, I'm signing back on, because I don't know if I can do this without you. And that's not what I want. I want to coach him more. He's not going to need me forever, but we're at a pretty good point where I think he is going to bring me back on. So then I realized, all right, I think I have some value to offer here.
You do have some value to offer. No thinking.
I do, yeah.
Yes.
And I'm seeing it. And I have my second paid client was this woman out in California who I worked with. A different type of thing. She's a solopreneur, but just needed help like rethinking her business because it's changed. She's older than me. And we just had a few hours together and just having a conversation, got some feedback from her. And she was like, this is great. Like, I can't wait to do this again. I have so many more questions that I want to work through with you. So, of course, that validation was great for an incompetent person.
Ego loves that.
Oh, yeah. So anyway,
so
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help, whether someone's already starting a practice and wants to like hire their first employee and grow a team, because that was a big challenge for me, becoming like the boss and the leader. How to onboard your staff, how to hire and fire, how to set up policies and procedures, never mind all the logistical legal stuff that you can find that stuff online. Or someone who just wants to start. Like I would love to meet a young PT. If you're out there listening and you want to leave the profession because you think there's no other way, call me. Like, let's have a talk, because I guarantee you, if you're passionate about what you do and you do it your way, you avoid some costly mistakes up front, you're going to have a fruitful career, whether it's just by yourself or if you build a bigger business. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I think we can keep a lot of really good people in our profession if they sought out the help and saw that this is not, I used the term before, it's not difficult, it's not easy, but it's not difficult. If you know the steps and you have someone that can hold your hand through it, it just takes a little grit, not much, and you can do whatever you envision as far as your business is.
Yeah, I love all of that, Mike. Like, the way that you described that was very passionate and purposeful. And so this to me says you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And yes, you're finding joy and excitement. And of course, people are going to want to work with you because your energy is good. Like, you're not someone who doesn't like the industry and you're just here doing a job because you got to tick the box and make money. Like, you earnestly believe that you can help others achieve what you achieved. And what the people that you're working with are experiencing is they're gaining confidence too, because you're encouraging them, you're supporting them, you're lifting them up, you're filling the questions or the unknowns, which is what causes fear, doubt, and anxiety, is the unknown, and you're filling in the open blocks with information and experience that they can then lean on. So it's like almost paying it forward. Like, you're helping these guys, and they're going to I'm sure they're going to help other people too. And this is going to keep probably building. So you're probably going to get more and more and more clients because you're just a good dude and you've got experience and you're happy in your life. And I think there's a lot of things out there, businesses going on, and the leaders or the people that are at the top are not happy. And I don't want to work with people who aren't happy or joyful, or at least trying to work towards that. At least giving themselves a chance. Like we talked about it, I think before we got on the podcast, like, give yourself a chance. Like, do not stop before it even starts. Do not stop before it even starts. Come on. We were going to do this podcast.
Most people fail before they even try.
Yes. Yes.
How
Even
do
our
you know?
podcast.
I think I was telling you I'm writing a quick ebook about, the 5 pillars of building a good healthcare practice. And I'm throwing little quotes in there. And it's the Wayne Gretzky quote is, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Fucking take the shot.
Just take a shot.
Ready, fire, aim, man.
Yeah.
I love that you see stuff all over social media, like how many shots Michael Jordan missed, how many free throws he missed, how many, last second game winning shots he missed. Right. But it just made him a better athlete, made him work harder. And then I think he was pretty good, if I remember.
He was okay.
He was all right. No, he wasn't BJ Kumkowski, though. That's for sure.
It wasn't me. All right. We got to wrap this up. I love how we ended that. Give yourself a chance. Like if you're not feeling confident in what you're doing, the way to get confident is to reach out and ask for help. Right. Someone who has experience. There's also the way of going, like just go and have your own experience, but you got to be willing and open to failing. And it isn't failing, it's learning. You're going to fail, 1,000 million times, but it's all giving you experience and information on who you are. So yeah, reach out if you need help. If you feel like you're not confident, it doesn't matter if it's a business or sport or in your relationship or in your community. If you're not feeling confidence, like reach out for help. There's many guides, let's call them guides or consultants or masters that you can tap into that will point you in the right direction. They're not going to give you all the answers because that's too easy. You need to go have your own experience with it. But they can point you in the right direction and support you along the way. Yogi Triathlete is one of them. Michael Silva is another one of them. So reach out to either one of us if you guys want some help or assistance in finding direction and purpose in life. I think that's the greater universal goal, right?
I know this isn't going to be visual, so people didn't see that little ballet move you were doing with your arms, but it was very cute, BJ.
All right, Mike, how can people find you on social media?
So website? Find me, website is michaeljsilva.com, michaeljsilva.com. I'm most active on LinkedIn. You can just put in Michael J. Silva consultant or just Michael J. Silva. You should be able to find me. I'm starting to do a little bit on Instagram, but as you and I have talked in the past, I'm not big on social media. LinkedIn seems to be, because I'm more of a B2B type of business, seems to be pretty good. So I'm doing more there. But Michael J. Silva _, is my Instagram handle. And if anyone if you're in a healthcare or service industry and you just have just a quick question, like anyone that comes from Yogi Triathlete, like you got a phone call, like no strings attached, no money exchange, just you got me, 45 minutes, whatever. Let's just talk things out. And if I can help in any way to any of your listeners, I'd be more than happy and extremely grateful to be a part of their journey if they need it.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike, so much. And right. Hope to see you again soon, buddy.
Yeah, you're the man, Beach. Thanks.